What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz Angle tonight. My name is Ryan Linkletter, and today we are talking about one of the best games we got in all of week 3 between the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens. And let's just say we have plenty of stuff to talk about tonight. I'm going to welcome in Dan Loya here, my co-host for tonight. Dan, great week of football. Let's just start with that.
Yeah, man, it's a crazy week. The 12 o'clock slate was nuts. I mean, it was like 3 block field goals. The afternoon slate was awesome, and then tonight you had a good game as well.
Yeah, I thought tonight's game was awesome. Obviously, the 12 o'clock slate yesterday was unbelievable as well. Had a few good games mixed in there as well. I don't know if week 4 is going to be able to top it, but obviously we'll get to it in a little bit. But we have the 1-2 Ravens versus the 1-2 Chiefs in week 4, which is something I didn't think a lot of people were expecting heading into week 4 when looking at the schedule. But it's kind of where we're sitting right now with both these squads. Tonight's game was awesome. I mean, the way the Lions went out and I think they just beat up the Ravens is what it felt like physicality wise. Like they were able to run the ball well. They were able to maintain the Ravens ground game. And the biggest difference for me in the second half was the fact that Lamar Jackson took so many sacks. Dan, what was your analysis on that game before I finish up on mine?
Uh, I guess Lamar, yeah, he took too many sacks. How many times did he get sacked today? Was
He
it
had
six?
seven, he got sacked 7
7.
times.
Okay. Yeah, that's just too many. But I mean, to add on to your point about the Lions' offense, 224 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns by the running backs. I mean, yeah, they imposed their will, and that's their identity with Dan Campbell. Man, they want to run the ball, run the ball. They want to smash your mouth, and that's exactly what they did tonight on the road in Baltimore.
I mean, that's how you set the tone on the road for sure.
Yeah,
So I thought that, going through and establishing that ground game was a really big part in the way that they were able to, not necessarily like keep the Ravens on their heels, but, keep themselves in the game until they were able to get a big momentum swing play, which was the fumble in the fourth quarter by Derrick Henry, who's now
yeah.
fumbled in every single game this season, 2 of them in the fourth quarter in a one-score game. And King Henry has not been as good to start the season in terms of his rushing numbers. And then you add in the fumbles on top of that. And, credit to what the Lions defensive coordinator did against them. They ran a lot of what they're going to see next week against the Chiefs. Chiefs are going to run a heavy box. They're going to make Lamar beat them with the pass. They're going to run a quarterback spy, and they're going to contain their rushing lanes. It was almost an identical script of what we see the Chiefs run against the Ravens, and it was very successful for the Lions. Where the Lions excelled, though, was third and fourth down between Jared Goff finding Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameer Gibbs, and David Montgomery finding holes in this ground game. The Lions are going to be completely fine in terms of what they do on the offensive side of the ball. They just have so much talent on that side that it's really hard to match that for opposing defense, even for a Ravens defense that has talent on every single level of their defense. What's your biggest concern right now with the Ravens and why they were able to come up short in this one?
Yeah, I think my biggest concern is the thing I noticed right away. The first drive of the game for the Lions is the pass rush for the Baltimore is concerning. They need another guy because Jared Goff had way too much time tonight. I mean, how many sacks did Baltimore have? 0?
Zero. It's their first time in
Yeah,
53 games they haven't recorded a sack. And
yeah,
Kyle Van
exactly.
Noy's out,
Yeah, I was about to
Adebuche's
say.
out, so, like, you're
Yeah,
missing
they missed
2
them.
interior guys and an edge rusher that, make a massive impact on their pass rush overall. And obviously,
Yeah,
Mike Green's young, but he's not to that level where he can impose a will. And next week, think about it, they could be missing those guys. Marlon Humphrey's got a groin injury. He was in and out of that game. Jair Alexander, who knows what he's going to do next week as well if he's going to suit up. So, like the Ravens defense, the injuries are piling up. No pass rush.
yeah, they need it. I was gonna add on to that. They really miss those guys, Van Noy and Madubuike, because since 2023, those two have combined for 43 sacks for Baltimore. Then tonight, man, they didn't have them and 0 sacks on the stat sheet. So yeah, they really miss them. Really need to somehow figure out how to improve that pass rush because yeah, you're not gonna win playoff games. Just look what happened in Buffalo week 1, man. They let Josh Allen back to the game because they couldn't get after him. So it's
Yeah.
gonna continue to bite them in the butt all year long.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, the way you win NFL games is obviously one, you have an elite quarterback, and they do in Lamar Jackson. They're going to win a
Yeah.
lot of games because of Lamar Jackson, and they'll be just fine because of that. But the second way is having an elite pass rush. And if you don't have an elite pass rush, you're basically asking Lamar Jackson to play a perfect game a majority of the time. And tonight he didn't. He struggled in the second half. He was not processing the defense well, and he was holding onto the ball too long. I mean, 7 of the sacks, I'd say 5 of them were his fault of not getting the ball out of his hands, trying to make something happen, hold the ball on too long instead of living to see another down. Instead, the Ravens get behind the sticks, and it's now 2nd and 18 and 3rd and 15. Like those type of numbers are really hard for an offense like the Ravens to overcome when that's not their bread and butter. Their bread and butter
Yeah,
is
exactly.
working ahead of the sticks, staying ahead of schedule, running play action off of that. And that's where Lamar is really good. He's not a quarterback that's 3rd and 15. Let me improvise and make a play like that with his arm. That's not necessarily what we think. That those work for him on second down. It's not like his go-to on third down. And he also was a little bit inaccurate tonight, which is not normally like him, but he missed some throws he normally makes. So it wasn't a great night for Lamar Jackson, but fully expect him to be ready to go against Kansas City next week. But my biggest concern for them is that pass rush. And we've seen the Chiefs now face 3 really good pass rushes between the Chargers, Eagles, and Giants. Maybe the Ravens provides a little bit of an easier matchup for the Chiefs just because it's not as tough of a front. So I think that part's going to be interesting. But Dan, on Detroit's side of things, is this team as good as they were last year?
Man, it's tough. I mean, from my perspective, I continue to count them out, man. I mean, last year when they continued to lose bodies all over their defense, I mean, I was like, all right, they're done. They're done. They just kept winning. Somehow they kept winning. I mean, they lost their whole coaching staff. They lost offense coordinator Ben Johnson and defense coordinator Aaron Glenn. And now they're 2-1 on the year. I mean, after they played the Packers, we all wrote them off. And now they found that identity, the run game. The two running backs, Montgomery and Gibbs, look fantastic. So I mean, I think they're gonna be competitive all year, and if you that's how Jared Goff wants to play. He wants to be able to run the ball, play action, keep the pressure off him, and he can read the defense because the opposing defense will be able to play the run, and it allows Jared Goff to read the coverages easier. I think so. That's exactly how the Lions want to play, and if they're able to do that, they're gonna have a lot of success this year.
Yeah, I think the most impressive part of their offense today was their interior offensive line, who got absolutely destroyed by the Packers in week one, but the last 2 weeks
Yeah,
has absolutely dominated the last two fronts they played. Sure, much easier matchups for the Lions, but in terms of the interior offensive line, but they've been impressive. They're younger guys. They got veteran and Glasnow, their center, not Glasnow, Glasgow, their center, but they are a mix of guys that aren't overly talented, but they're starting to come together, and that's exactly what they need because that's the biggest weakness for this Lions team is that interior offensive line, and they similar to the Ravens run through their ground game. They work ahead of the sticks. They like to go for it
yeah.
on fourth down. They like to put themselves at a 2nd and 5, a 3rd and 2, those type of situations. And we saw that. And they had, explosives from David Montgomery today, which ultimately was a big X factor in this one. On the defensive side of the ball, I don't really know how impressed I was with their defense at times. It felt like the Ravens, beat themselves a little bit in that second half, but obviously they have 2 elite safeties in Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph that are always going to be really good, but it really feels like they are lacking another pass rusher. Um, because outside of Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport's hurt. They need it feels like they need one more guy. It was fine tonight because of the scheme they ran, but it felt like they needed another one. We got John Marshall from Marshall Towing in here. Dan is the goat. What is Dan's job? He's got to be a full time reporter, sports journalist. And then does Derrick Henry have a fumbling problem? Derrick Henry clearly has a fumbling problem. The guy loves to put the ball on the ground, and it is not something that is easily fixed. And I think it's starting to impact his ability to run the ball
Confidence.
because he's
Oh,
being a
okay.
little bit more cautious when he hits the holes. He's not necessarily, having these big gaudy numbers that we're used to seeing Derrick Henry have. So I think it's something we need to monitor going forward with Derrick Henry. But I don't expect him to fumble in the fourth quarter again. I mean, it's 2 times out of the 3 weeks. I'm
Crazy.
gonna put
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is and say Derrick Henry's probably not fumbling in the fourth quarter in a massive situation. So that part will get fixed for the Ravens, but they do have concerns. This is probably the second most talented roster in the NFL, right behind the Eagles. But it seems like they just don't gel in the beginning of seasons. They're a team that kind of picks up momentum as the season goes on. Dan, what are your thoughts on kind of the long term outlooks of both sides of them?
I mean, I still believe in the Ravens, but, I have a few Ravens fans, and they're starting to lose hope. I don't know why. They know the
Really?
team better than me, but for some reason, they always bring up, Harbaugh. They think it's just that he's run his course with the team. It's amazing because he's had so much success, but I don't know. I gotta talk to them, find out more info, but they just like you said, they have so much talent, and it's only week 3. I think they just gotta continue to find their identity. If Derrick Henry doesn't fumble the ball in the fourth quarter in 2 games, you never know. They could be 2-1 right now, or what,
Yeah.
3-0? Two,
I mean,
it
they
would be maybe
realistically
three
could
and
be
zero.
3-0 right now. Like
Okay, so yeah,
they
it's just
were
simple mistakes.
yeah, they were a one-score game in every single fourth quarter.
Yeah,
And, the Browns score was a bit inflated last week with the Browns, special teams really putting them in bad positions, turnovers on the offensive side of the ball. So it wasn't necessarily like the Ravens just absolutely shredded the Browns and had a great day. But I think the Ravens will wind up being okay. It's a similar situation that kind of the
something.
Chiefs were in and the Chiefs are in is like you have two really good teams that have had a lot of success over the last 5 years. Like it's early, it's 3 games in, there's a long season ahead. It's not like you're the Houston Texans right now who can't block a guy up front, you can't run the ball, right? Nothing's working for Houston. So that's like a team like actually, yes, panicked. They're not going to make the playoffs. Ravens, Chiefs, they're going to be fine. Let things play the course this season. And, on the Chiefs side of things, they get healthier as the season goes on. We'll answer a quick fantasy football question here. Who do you start
Yep.
next week? Rome, Lad, Jamar, Quentin, Judkins, Scat, and Monty, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. I'll go real quick and then I'll let you go, Dan. I'm going with Rome, Lad, and Jamar, and then I'm probably rolling matchup based at that running back room. I haven't really looked at each of their matchups yet, but probably go Scat and Monty out of that grouping right now. I don't know who the Browns play at this moment, but it'd be something that I'd look at. What are you thinking about that grouping, Dan?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. You got to start. I mean, you got to start Jamar. You can't bench Jamar. He's talking about Jamar Chase, right? You can't do
Yep,
that.
can't do it
Yeah,
just
come on.
yet.
You
Can't do it just
drafted him what 1-2 overall. You can't bench the guy in week 4. So I agree with you. Rome, Led, Jamar, and then I would start Judkins and Scatterbo.
Yeah, I think
Trust the
listen,
rookies.
Tyrone Tracy is gonna miss some time, I think. And Cam Scattaboo is an interesting one because he's gonna be able to slot in to that running back role and have a massive workload. We saw him work well out of the passing game, and then he also ran the ball pretty well against the Chiefs defense that we know has historically been pretty good against the run. So good news there for Scattaboo owners throughout. Shout out to
Yeah.
John Marshall towing for the question. We're gonna welcome in David here. David, the camera's fixed. I
David?
see.
Yeah, I had an update with Prism, which is what I used to get the Blitz background. I was putting the background in front of my face, and I was like, "Well, I can't just be here and not you can't see me, you know."
John Cena over here.
Technical difficulties.
All right, David, what were your thoughts on tonight's matchup?
So I was really interested to see if the number one, if the Lions could beat up a team like the Ravens without Ben Johnson. I don't know if last week was just a fluke or not, but I think the Lions are as good as ever, honestly. So that's a good thing for them. But my biggest concern right now, as you're a Chiefs fan, is the Ravens and the Chiefs are both 1-2 and playing against each other in Week 4. If the Chiefs or the Ravens are 1-3, who are you most worried about losing their division?
Oh,
Well,
losing their
it's Chiefs
division out
by
of those
far.
two?
Yeah, if one of them has to be 1-3 after Week 4.
Yeah, I think I would be more concerned about the Chiefs because I think their division's better. I think the AFC West is better. The Chargers are already 3-0 and have 3 division wins. I think with the AFC North, like the Bengals are cooked. They're going to be bad this year, right? The Steelers are not very good. They're actually second worst in the NFL in net yards. And then the
Yeah,
Browns are the Browns right now. So like you have 3 easier division opponents that's playing out in the AFC North versus the West, it's like it's a gauntlet right now. I know the Raiders haven't necessarily performed well the last 2 weeks, but I mean, all 3 teams are pretty talented. Denver, Bo Nix hasn't played well, but their defense is elite. And then we know what the Chargers have showed. So I think the Chiefs would have a bigger uphill battle to winning that division compared to the Ravens if they were to start 1-3. I think it's a crazy thing how sports books work. I think everybody looking at this matchup would have saw Chiefs favored and be like, "Oh, I'm slamming the Ravens. I'm doing it right away." And now both teams are 1-2, and everybody is going to be second guessing themselves in this game about why each of these teams could lose. Dan, who do you think has a harder chance of winning their division at 1-3?
It's definitely the Chiefs by far. Just like you said, it's the AFC West, man. It's a gauntlet, and the Chargers are 3-0 right now, and they don't look have any signs saying they're stopping anytime soon. So it's going to be tough for them if they go 1-3.
Yeah,
You
it'll definitely be an uphill battle for sure.
Yeah.
What are you going to say,
think
David?
losing Najee Harris will hinder them, or do you think Hampton is? Are you comfortable with Hampton with what you've seen from him out of 3 weeks?
I think it's a fine. Like I don't think it's a significant loss for them. I mean, they're the biggest thing the Chargers need to do though is get back to their ground and pound style because Justin Herbert leads the NFL in EPA per pass right now, and or pass on play action right now. And a lot of teams are expecting them to run the ball because they're division opponents. They saw what Greg Roman's done with the Chargers last season, so they're like, "Oh, we're good. It's a run first Chargers team." That hasn't been the case through 3 weeks now, and I think teams are going to make some adjustments to that Chargers offense. So they need Amari and Hampton to get going. I think in terms of losing a running back like Najee Harris, it hurts a little bit, but Marion Hampton's the best running back in that room. So, as far as does it hurt them, I don't think it hurts them significantly, but I think their lack of presence on the ground game to start the year is going to hurt them in the long term if they don't mix it up a little bit more. Dan, how
Okay.
about you?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, to hand the keys to Hampton, man. That's why you drafted him in the first round. I mean, it's time to go. Let's see what you got. And he had a great game on Sunday. I'm sure the Chargers would sign a running back too. I was actually looking at it earlier. Maybe they bring back Gus Edwards. He's currently a free agent, so
Melvin
they need a
Gordon, bring
veteran.
it back.
Melvin Gordon
No,
would be insane.
no,
I
Gus
just want
Edwards.
to remind everyone that I repeatedly said Hampton over Harvey, and
Yeah,
it's looking like a good take. I'm just
Hey,
saying.
Hey,
yeah.
listen. I'm taking the player. I am taking the player. RJ Harvey has
You're
not
still on the
gotten a fair
Harvey train.
He has not gotten a fair chance. It's not that time yet. Not that time. He'll get his time. You'll see. You'll
David,
see
man.
what RJ Harvey looks
I'm
like.
gonna be on this all year long.
RJ Harvey's sitting there. He's waiting. Yeah, RJ
I'm waiting for
Harvey.
Caleb Johnson too. I feel like he hasn't
Oh,
got enough
Caleb
touches
Johnson's
either.
out.
Yeah,
That guy I'm out on. Caleb Johnson's out. I mean,
Wait, how are you still in on Harvey and out on Johnson?
because
The-
at least
Arthur
RJ
Smith.
Harvey's
That one.
not cracking a starting running back with J.K. Dobbins in front of him, right? Caleb Johnson can't even beat out Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell, who haven't even played
Okay,
early
Kenneth
on.
Gainwell, I'll give you, but Warren's pretty good.
No,
He's
no, he was
what do you?
one of the worst.
All right.
No, he was one of the worst graded running backs last year between the tackles, and they're like, you know what? Caleb Johnson excelled between the tackles in college, but let's not play him because he's not good. And he just I'm out on Caleb Johnson, and that's coming from me who like said he was one of the safest players to draft in like early August because it just made so much sense. He was basically a better version of Najee Harris. And then we get the training camp reports. He's their RB3. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. And then all of a sudden, there you go.
No,
Hey,
I
listen,
loved seeing him in dynasty drafts in the second round. I thought he was a steal for the second round because I liked him over Harvey, but I mean
geez.
that doesn't say much right now for either of them.
I think with Caleb Johnson, it's tough. That was one of the bigger misses. And unfortunately, in our Blitz fantasy league, we drafted so early that like Caleb Johnson,
Yeah,
I'm like,
really.
okay, I got a safe RB2. And then I drafted Tank Bigsby too to like supplement him because he had a guaranteed role at that time. So I basically went into the season with no running back too because both those guys within the matter of 3 weeks just dipped like 40 spots down draft boards. I'm like, geez. All right. Well, anyways, let's get into the biggest topic, I think, post game. Chiefs versus Ravens, 1-2. Dan, I'll start with you. What are you looking at this matchup, and which of these two teams are going to be able to overcome their early season mistakes to get a win in Arrowhead?
Oh well, I was trying to look who's favored real quick, but I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be both teams are going to be playing desperate. Where's the game at? Let's see here real quick.
Here, I'll pull up the spread. You talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, I just think they're gonna be desperate, man. Both teams need a win. They don't want to fall to 1-3 in their division. But I mean, they both teams have weaknesses. The Chiefs' offense hasn't looked great this year. and the Ravens defense hasn't looked great either. So we're gonna see who comes out on top next week, man. I'm excited to watch. Should be a great
Yes,
game.
the spread opened at -1.5 for the Chiefs. Over the course of probably the last like 24 to 48 hours, because people are already starting to look at week 4, it is now +2.5 for the Chiefs. Everybody
Okay.
spammed Ravens bets, so
Who's the home team in that?
the Chiefs are the home team, so
It-
technically the Chiefs are +5.5 at home.
Oh.
So
yeah, I mean it makes sense.
Music
It
to
makes
my
sense.
ears.
Their offense, man. Their offense hasn't looked great.
no, their offense has not looked great.
Yeah,
Like,
that's why.
if you watch the
Yeah.
Chiefs, they haven't looked good. I mean, the only time I'd say they looked good was the first drive out of the second half, where I actually think they played well in the second half. They had a good second half against the Giants, and that's about all you can say for the Chiefs this year is they had one good half. So it's understandable that the spread is moving the way it is. I'm interested to see what it finishes at, especially after the Ravens lost tonight. But I mean, it's going to be a great game. I think that the Chiefs are gonna show up for this one. I think this is the game where we actually see a competent Chiefs performance. In this one, Baltimore, I think, is going to put together. This is almost like a revenge game for them. They don't like to lose to Kansas City. They've done it now. I want to say like 2 or 3 straight times in big situations. And we know how last year's ended with Isaiah Likely's toe barely out of bounds. So the
Yeah.
Ravens remember that one. They're going to come ready to go. Chiefs have their hands worked out. But I think one of the bigger things that is no one will talk about in this matchup is Baltimore's fatigue coming off this game on Detroit. Detroit beat them up
Oh
physically,
yeah.
and they're on one less day of rest. The Lions ran the ball, I want to say close to 35, 40 times in this matchup.
Was it that many?
It was that Gibbs
Yeah,
had, I pulled
38.
up
38.
38 times. So, like,
Yeah.
this was a physical game. And I mean, Baltimore's defense was on the field a lot in this matchup. So, I am interested to see with the injuries on that defense, the fatigue potentially playing a factor, if the Chiefs are able to exploit it. I'm not sure who I'm going to pick in this one yet. I'm going to see kind of the injury report ahead of the time. But I mean, I think it's going to be a great game. I think it is something to monitor, though. The Ravens' fatigue coming off this really physical game against the Lions. David, what are your thoughts heading into this matchup?
There's two things I'm gonna focus on before I make my pick, and that's if Jair Alexander's healthy, because if they can have a healthy secondary against a Chiefs team that still is without Rashee Rice, which is I think is a a big loss, bigger loss than I anticipated for them in the first few weeks, and whether or not Derrick Henry is fumbling the ball. If there's a line where I can bet Chris Jones forcing a fumble on Derrick Henry, I might take it. 3 fumbles in 3 weeks for Henry, 2 in the fourth quarter, and I'd argue both of them resulted in the loss.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that.
If the Ravens win the turnover battle, I think they'll win the game. It's going to come down to that.
I think an underlying matchup that I want to pay attention to as well is Xavier Worthy going to return? What if he returns, how much different is this offense going to look for the Chiefs? Because I do think they found something with Tyquan Thornton long term that's going to help them, and I think he's exactly what they thought Marquise Brown was going to be. Marquise Brown isn't really a deep threat anymore. It seems like he's not really separating down the field, more of a short yardage type of guy at this point in his career. Tyquan Thornton is that deep threat, and I think they finally found that, which is exciting. But you still have to survive 3 more weeks without Rice, and we think we're going to get Worthy this week, which will be a massive boost for them. But who knows what's going to happen? It's going to be an absolute dogfight. On the Lions side of things, they get the Browns, and then they face. Let's see, I just had it up. They had the Browns, then they get the Bengals. So 2 games where the Lions should take care of business, and then they play the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. So they have 2 games to tune up against the Chiefs before that matchup as well, and then the Lions schedule gets a little bit easier before they see Philly, Green Bay, the Rams, the Vikings. Like those would be some big games late in the stretch for the Lions, but they have a pretty balanced schedule there. What do you expect to see out of the Lions, Dan, over the next 2 weeks before facing a more of a contender in the Chiefs?
Well, I think it's gonna be tough. I mean, we saw what happened this week with the Packers against Cleveland. Cleveland's got a good defense. They just can't do anything on offense on the offensive side of the ball. That's
Last
it, man.
3 years.
Yeah, it's their defense is tough, man. So it could be a tough game. They could keep it close, but yeah, I mean, and then Cincinnati's kind of yeah, I mean they got blown out this week, so that's a much easier game than Cleveland. But yeah, the Lions can stack some wins together in the next 2 weeks, and they will travel to Kansas City in 3 weeks. So let's see what they can do.
David, how about you?
I'm kind of on the same boat. I was high on Jake Browning as a backup overall,
Oh
and
no,
I'm not anymore.
you literally can't be after what
He-
he
he-
showed against Minnesota.
I was like, okay, 3 picks. He didn't expect to play that game. He wasn't ready. All right, but that's his job to be ready as a backup. And then this game, I started him confidently in a few leagues.
Oh no.
In my Dynasty league, I started him over Rodgers. He got me 5 points. Rodgers got me 11. I lost by 5.
Man.
And I had the Vikings defense on my bench. It was rough. Oh, but
Yeah,
Hey,
no,
what
I
about
think-
this Thursday night game? Are we going to talk about that or no?
No, we'll preview the Thursday night game probably before that point. But yeah, I think with the Lions heading into that matchup against the Chiefs, like I want to see, potentially Isaac Tesla get more involved in this offense. It's going to give them another threat that they could utilize. I want to see the offensive line continue to trend in the right direction, and hopefully this defense can stay healthy throughout these next few weeks. I'm actually probably planning on going to that Lions Chiefs matchup, so should be a fun one.
Great game.
Hopefully, hopefully the Chiefs are 3-3 at that, or 3-2 at that point, instead of 1-4. That'd be a little bit better of a game to go to at that point.
that's the week 6 matchup, right?
It is the week 6 matchup.
So
that's the last game
they'll
without
still be
Brett.
without Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Dude, the last thing we'll say about that situation is, like, I think it's going to be a night and day difference of this offense when they get Rashee Rice healthy. Like, I mean, the guy is Patrick Mahomes' option on basically every single third down when he was healthy in 2023, and the first few games he was healthy during 2024. Like it, and even when you watch in the preseason, like this team had no sort of resistance against the Bears, and I know the Bears ones have been very inconsistent at times, but that was a healthier Bears defense, and the Chiefs went up 3 drives and just took it down there in 6 plays, and that was that. Like, I think this team will look much different, and I think the confidence level of Mahomes should change a little bit, but the running game's their biggest concern. If they can't run the football, you can't win in the NFL, and they got to find a way to make it, whether that's a midseason trade or something. That element will hold back the Chiefs because they don't get any guys that break any tackles in the backfield, and that's something you need for sure in that backfield. All in all, though, guys, really appreciate you guys tuning into this episode of the Blitz Angle. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Angle content. Me, Dan, and David will catch you guys next time.